Many people believe that heart disease attacks those of an older age. However, my journey began at a very young age because at the age of 16, I was told that I had a heart murmur during a sports physical. With further testing, they found out that I had an enlarged heart. At the age of 21, I was told that I had high blood pressure. At the age of 29, during my second pregnancy, in my last trimester, my blood pressure skyrocketed to the point they were at stroke level. And during delivery, my blood pressures rose very high to the point that they had to give me high blood pressure medication through my IV. And from my high blood pressures, they caused my heart to become weakened. And during the delivery of my pregnancy, from the pushing and straining, it caused my already weakened heart to go into heart failure. This was supposed to have been a joyous moment for me. But during this point in time that I was going through during my delivery, it was also a very painful time. 2011, while driving, coming from a meeting, my oldest daughter and I, we were laughing and talking. Well, I didn't feel well all that day. But coming from the meeting, we were driving and we were laughing. I was driving and we were laughing coming down the road. And I started to feel my body shut down. And I couldn't say anything. I couldn't get my daughter's attention. But the only thing I could do, my phone was charging in the car. And I took my cell phone in hopes of trying to throw it over there at her, but she was looking out the passenger window. And the only way she looked over towards me was because the speed started to decrease. And when she looked over at me, I had already gone into cardiac arrest. And I was slumped over. And from what she told me, she said she shook me. She said, "Mommy, what's wrong?" She said she had her seatbelt on. She took her left hand and she put it on the brake. And she took her right one and threw the car into gear. Well, when I came to, because I had a defibrillator at that time, and the defibrillator detected the abnormal heart rate. And it made my defibrillator fire. And so when I came to and I said, "What happened?" She says, "Mommy, you passed out again." And I says, "Well, any cars coming towards us?" She says, it was one behind us, but not a car coming towards us. Well, not only did she save my life, her life, but she saved the other person's life because of her quick reaction. My nurse that was on shift, on duty that day, she says, "You have a phone call." And I thought it was two former co-workers that I hadn't heard from through my entire time being in the hospital. And when I got the call, when I answered the call, it was my transplant coordinator. He says, "We have a donor." And I says, "Are you serious?" He says, "Yes." He says it's going to take place sometime tonight. So on June 2nd, 2013, I received my new heart. And it was the day that I'll never forget.
A lot of people are worried that they can't become an organ donor because they themselves have conditions like high blood pressure or diabetes. But you can become an organ donor even if you have these conditions. A lot of people have a real mistrust about the kind of care they're going to get if they're an organ donor. People are concerned that if they go into the hospital, the doctors are not going to take good care of them because they want to get their organs. And this really is not true. Doctors are going to take the best possible care of you that they can, whether or not you're an organ donor. You don't have to die to become an organ donor. In fact, many people will give a kidney or a part of their liver to friends or family who need kidney or liver transplants.
Our journey started in 2008. My son, just like any other kid, high school kid, he was senior year playing basketball, all through high school playing basketball in the band. Just having a good time, looking forward to college and doing things that young kids do. Left to go to one of the finer universities in the area, North Carolina A&T, and he was excited to be on the drum line, something that he had looked forward to doing for a long time. In fact, he was a musician in high school, as I was, so I was really proud of him. I was excited. The whole family was excited to see him go off to school, and I remember. And we took him early because the band did their practices like weeks in advance. And he doesn't know this, but on the way back, he was my first child to leave. I rode back and I was crying and I was teary-eyed. And thinking that, everything was fine. He was going to have a grand old time. All would be well.
We knew that over the past few years, my kidney function had been declining. And when your kidneys start to fail, you can only slow that process down. You can't stop it. You can't, reverse it or anything. So once you're there, you're there. Got the lab results back. I had just gotten back to my apartment. I had stopped by my parents' house here in Durham. Went back to Greensboro, was unloading groceries and my bags and all that good stuff. And I got a call from the doctor saying, your labs indicate that you have minimal kidney function. And had to turn around and just drive right back to Durham.
And I remember getting the call. He was at the student infirmary. I remember being really afraid going up there, right? And I remember going in, and my nephew, his cousin, was there. It helped him over to the infirmary. And I saw him, and the ailment that he had was really tough on his body, so that he had it's really swollen. His face and his body was really swollen, almost so that when I walked in, I didn't recognize him. You see that he's a slim guy, and I almost didn't recognize him. So I went over and I told him everything was going to be fine. Take you home, you're going to be fine. The next few years, 5 years, was riddled with hospitalizations, where we'd find out each time that his kidneys were functioning less and less and less. So I watched him go from a healthy young man who was jumping around dunking basketballs to a young man who was ill. and we didn't know where the end was. We didn't know how to make it better. So
luckily, my dad was a perfect match with me. Soon as we knew what was going on, he was there ready to get tested to see if we matched. We did perfectly, but still, it was so much stuff still to go on, and neither one of us could really understand, all right, he's here, I'm here, we're a match, let's go ahead and get it out of the way. It was like, okay, we're there at 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning, and we had to go back home, and we're sitting there wondering, okay, how long is it going to take for another one? We've already gotten another date scheduled. It was 2.5 months down the road. But luckily, turned out to be February 27th, 2 days later. Really the next day, because we had to be there early in the morning. They did the surgery. We're there in the morning, went to sleep. I woke up on the ICU floor, hungry, and I was good to go. Everything went well. I took to the kidney perfectly. It started working there while I was on the operating table before I even woke up. The next day, my dad walked to my room after the surgery. So for the people out there that think, the surgery is too much, is too painful, it's too traumatic, it's not that bad. Said he walked from one wing of the hospital to my wing the next day, and actually that night before he had come there, I asked my nurse if I could get up and walk around. So I walked around the whole ICU floor that night, about maybe 12 or 14 hours after the surgery.
that next week, I was out walking 2 and 3 miles. So it's a small price to pay to give him the quality of life back that he once had. I know that people hesitate to raise their hand and surrender an organ. But I will tell you that it's not as scary as it all sounds. It's really not. It's a couple of holes in this side and a small incision. They remove it. They give it to him, and that's it. Thank God.
When it's time to donate, the donation team will look at your medical conditions and figure out what kind of donor you can become. That being said, when you go to the hospital to receive medical care, doctors are going to do everything possible to take care of you in the best possible way. They're going to give you the best quality medical care that they possibly can, no matter what. If you have decided to donate an organ, and if it's clear that nothing else can be done, that's when doctors will consider whether you're an organ donor. A lot of people are concerned that wealthy people or people with more means will have an advantage and be more likely to get an organ, but that's not true. The United Network for Organ Sharing is responsible for ensuring that everyone in the United States has an equal chance at getting an organ. Many of these concerns are myths, and it's important to remember that if you do decide to donate an organ, you're giving the most precious gift of life to someone who really needs it.
For more information how you can become an organ donor, visit the North Carolina Donate Life website at donatelifenc.org or Community Health Coalition at chealthc.org or call us at 919-470-8680. Remember, a healthy community includes you, and you have the power to donate life.